We would now like to invite President ANMI, Mr. Rakesh Damani, to welcome the august gathering.
Shri U.K. Sinha ji, Mr. Ravi Narayan ji, Ashish Chauhan ji, and Joseph Messi ji, and all the delegates, I cordially welcome you all and my esteemed colleagues to the second day of the 17th Annual General Meeting of Asia Securities Forum 2012, organized by ANMI for the first time ever in India. I extend my wholehearted greetings to all the foreign delegates who have been able to make it here from across the Asia-Pacific region. We would be deliberating extensively on theme growth, innovation, and integrity, challenges facing the securities market in Asia-Pacific, as we feel it would play a significant role in economic and financial transformation of our region. In the past 2 decades or so, we have witnessed accelerating growth in world's financial markets driven by liberalization and innovation. Innovation has brought in innumerable advantages. The menu of new products available to end users have been greatly enlarged. The increased level of sophistication in the market has been duly supported by the fascinating and complex products like derivatives and other structured products, including securitizations of assets. The risk management tools have been strengthened. At the same time, however, the growth of capital market has posed new challenges to economic and financial stability. The risk of collapse of an entire financial market due to the systemic risk has grown manyfold as markets have become more interdependent. The direct costs like brokerages have gone down substantially, and we are looking forward for getting the cost of compliance reduced and reconsideration and rationalization of statutory levies and duties in the financial transactions. While the recent global meltdown has made us aware of the perils of sophisticated markets, the learning has been to follow a path of caution while maintaining a steady pace. The financial landscape changed drastically with collapse of Lehman Brothers in 2008, worldwide market crash, wiping all its gain as Eurozone crisis deepened, creating domino effect on the economies of emerging countries. Irrespective of degrees of globalization of a country and soundness of economic fundamentals, these crises spread across the world in varying degree of penetration. Further, the new products that emerged transcending the global boundaries brought with itself the issue of market integrity. Insider trading, market manipulation, price rigging are some of the issues that irks regulator worldwide. The efficient flow of information and transparent capital market that facilitates the capital formation is important to our nation's economy. Tempted by greed, most investors give little thought to the systemic risk that arises from the widespread misuse of margin financing and insider trading. The ebb in the volumes is the result of lack of public confidence in the market. There is a consensus that public faith in capital market needs to be restored. Our regulators are trying their best to put in place more reliable information and clear rules of honest trading. Investor protection is the buzzword on their efforts to monitor securities. As we aim to become SRO, the onus is also on us to assume greater and more direct role in self-regulation of our behavior. Today, we are honored to have Mr. U.K. Sinha, the present chairman of Securities and Exchange Board of India, as our guest in the inaugural ceremony. As a SEBI chairman, he has introduced far-reaching reforms in promoting capital formation in the market and protecting investors' interest. His path-breaking initiative has not only made the system robust, but also simplified the processes. He would enlighten us on the best global practices in the risk mitigating mechanism. We look forward to his measures for maintaining market integrity and restoring investors' confidence. We all shall be hearing our country reports individually, along with our strengths and challenges faced by each of us. We shall also be having a panel discussion on risk perception and derivatives product, a global study, where eminent luminaries will enlighten us, and I request your active participation in this. I sincerely believe that through this forum, we shall succeed to build a more integrated society and ensure innovation-based economic growth that will contribute to our common goal of achieving growth and prosperity in Asia-Pacific region. With good judgment, firm resolution, and cooperative efforts, I am confident that the opportunity can be seized and challenges overcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Somani. I would like to take this opportunity to introduce to you our chief guest, Chairman SEBI, Mr. U.K. Sinha. Mr. Sinha brings in more than a decade of rich experience in the financial markets. He has held several positions with distinction in the state and central governments. He will join Secretary Banking and Joint Secretary Capital Markets, Ministry of Finance, Government of India. He was also the chairman of the Working Group on Foreign Investment in India, formed by the Government of India. He was a member of several committees set up by the Government of India, including the Committees on Liquidity Management, Foreign Institutional Investors, Corporate Bond Market, and Investor Protection. Mr. Sinha is also currently chairman of the Asia-Pacific Regional Committee of International Organization of Security Commissions. Prior to taking over as chairman at SEBI, he was chairman and managing director of UTI Asset Management Company Limited and also chairman of Association of Mutual Fund in India. He has actively contributed to the financial sector reforms in the country. Let's have a huge round of applause as we welcome him for a keynote address.
Mr. Somani, Mr. Ravi Narayan, Mr. Ashish Chauhan, Mr. Joseph Messi, Mr. Prasad Rao, Mr. Singhania, delegates, invited guests, friends from the media, I want to express my gratitude and thanks for providing me with this opportunity. I find that this meeting of the Asian Security Forum is happening in India for the first time. This is your 17th AGM, and I'm happy that you are having it in India and in Mumbai. I would like to welcome you in Mumbai, and I'm sure the organizers have taken care to ensure that besides the meetings that you also have time to move around and see our city. It's also perhaps a matter of happy coincidence that while you are having this meeting in India, India is also presently chairing the Asia-Pacific region of IOSCO. And I would like to inform you that for the last 2 years, in the APRC of IOSCO, a very conscious effort has been made that we involve the industry in all the deliberations which the securities regulators are going to have. Even in the main IOSCO forum, the meeting which happened in Madrid in the month of October, we had a half-a-day session where we met most of the industry senior representatives. And in the forum meeting which happened of APRC in Kuala Lumpur last year and the one which is going to happen in Bangkok 1 week from now, we have consciously invited the industry representatives, and as a group of regulators across the world, we believe that a dialogue between the regulators and the industry is very important. We must have a forum whereby we can express our opinion, we can express our views, and share the experiences of others. I also find that the Investor Education Forum of the Asian Forum for Investor Education is also currently being chaired by India, and I'm told that the next meeting is going to happen in next 3-4 months. I would like to begin by saying that after the crisis of mid-90s, which this region faced particularly very severely, there have been major reforms and major efforts both towards economic reforms and towards fiscal consolidation. The national debt, for example, has been consciously tried to be reduced. So the combination of economic reforms, financial sector reforms, and fiscal consolidation has helped our region. And it is for this region, this particular effort that has been made by all the members of this region, that today we are in a proud position that in spite of the downturn of the last 3 or 4 years, this region is the growth engine for the whole world. We are today having an average GDP growth of about 5.5%, which is almost 200 basis points more than the growth that is predicted for the whole world as such. So in spite of the downturn which we are facing all over the world, whether it is the USA or whether it is Europe or rest of the world, this region is providing a ray of hope. We have been impacted, and I suspect that we will continue to be impacted for some more time, but we will be able to face it much better than rest of the world, and we can provide leadership to the rest of the world. You know that, for example, almost 30% of the market cap is in this region. About 40% of the primary market capital which has been raised in the last year is from within this region. If you look at the top stock exchanges, top 10 stock exchanges, many of them are from this region. If you look at the top performing indices, many of them are from this region. So as a group, the representatives from the 15 countries who are here today, we have a lot to contribute, not only for ourselves and our individual countries and our region, but also to the whole world. I'll also like to highlight some of the issues and problems which we are facing. One important thing which we are facing here today is that since the global economy has got interlinked, the impact is also sudden and severe. I'd like to give you only one example, that the deleveraging of the European banks might pull out almost $1 trillion from this region. The impact of the deleveraging by the European banks. And it will happen through a number of channels. For example, the risk aversion is going to have an impact on some of the borrowings which corporates have from this area. It can have impact on the employment position. It can have impact on the exports. It can have impact on the currency. And I'm not talking in a futuristic way. Some of these impacts we are already noticing and we are already facing. We also have to remember that the broad infrastructure in this part of the world has certain lacuna and certain need for cooperation. The lacuna which comes to my mind is that our economies, by and large, except for 1 or 2 exceptions, by and large, what we can call is that our region is banking dominated rather than market dominated. India, for example, is one such country. So how to prepare the world, how to prepare the economy to move away from a banking dominated economy to a market dominated economy has been a major challenge. I'm aware and I'm sure that we will be able to move in that direction, but I'm also aware that almost all the countries are working towards it, but this is a major challenge. I also find that one particular, if I can make a general statement and compare it with the Western world, by and large, the corporates in this region are more and more family-oriented or promoter-oriented. If you look at the shareholding in the corporates in this country and compare it with the rest of the world, you will find that the level of shareholding by the families or by the promoters, and promoters are defined differently in different countries, here it is higher compared to the rest of the world. Now, on the one hand, it poses a challenge towards corporate governance. What further impetus is required to look at this situation from the corporate governance point of view? But in a way, it also helps that the commitment of the dominant shareholders towards the corporate is reasonably high compared to areas or corporates where there are only or predominantly institutional investors. And there is always a threat of some sort of a hostile takeover. So these are the dimensions within which we are operating. Another area which I would like to highlight generally for this region is that banks in this region are generally better capitalized. Compared to, say, Europe, compared to the United States of America, banks in this region are by and large better capitalized. So we have learned from our, if I can say, our mistakes in mid-90s, and consciously, and I'm talking on behalf of all the countries in this region, that a very conscious effort has been made to make reforms in the financial sector, capitalization of the banks, opening up the economy. And I think some of the benefits which we have today and the dominant position which we are having is because of the measures that we have taken in the last 15, 20 years. However, if we come to some of our problems, one area which comes to my mind again is that we have a fragmented infrastructure. And the level of liquidity are different in different countries, and there is tremendous amount of diversity in the markets. Some of the markets are highly developed, some of the markets are about to catch up. In that background, it is quite natural that those markets which are not yet developed, they look at their problems from the domestic perspective, and they want to come up to a certain level. I'm sure we will utilize this forum to discuss these issues, that how within the region we can find some methodology to cooperate within the region and help each other. The problem is, and problem often happens, that we start comparing ourselves individually as a nation with the best examples in the world. Some of them may not be useful to us either because of economic reasons or cultural reasons. My case is that we have a lot to learn from each other by our experience sharing, and jointly we can make this region grow if we share our experiences and learn from each other's mistakes. I talked about the European crisis, I talked about the impact that it will have. There is also a series of development which are taking place outside our region, and most of it is on the legal front, which is also affecting us. Besides what is happening on the market front outside this region, there are certain regulatory and legal challenges which are affecting us. I would like to quote only two examples, the US FATCA and the UK Bribery Act. I'm sure you will get some time here during the two-day session that you have today and tomorrow to discuss how individual countries are coping with these issues. And maybe we can find out some common ground about how to deal with these matters. I would like to inform you that in the IOSCO Asia Pacific Regional Committee meeting, we have decided that we will engage the European Union and ESMA as one body from APRC. So we have started consultation amongst ourselves that as APRC, what are the problems which individual countries are facing, and why can't we perhaps present a joint case when we are dealing with ESMA, instead of each individual country being subjected to certain challenges and certain constraints. So while while as regulators, using the forum of APRC in IOSCO, we are moving in this direction. I'm sure getting a gathering like this again will be not very easy. So I hope we will have occasion to discuss these issues. I would like to talk a little bit about some of the developments which are happening in India, and especially some measures which have been taken in the last 1 year or so, and maybe some of them can be of relevance to some of the delegates who are present here. I think not only India, but many countries in this region are facing one particular difficulty, that is how to attract the household savings into the market. In India, the numbers are not very encouraging. Besides, we find that wherever household savings are being mobilized, they are being mobilized only from some selected cities, the top cities. But people outside 10, 15 cities in the country are relatively less aware and less integrated into the market. So what we have done in SEBI, we have taken certain measures to encourage the asset management companies to raise money beyond the 15 cities. We found that the top 15 cities contribute about 85% of the inflows into the asset management industry. So we have allowed them additional financial incentive up to 30 basis points if they are able to mobilize money beyond the top 15 cities. We have also allowed for what we were lacking so far. We have now introduced the regulation of the mutual fund distributors. And we have started with a risk-based approach. So we are almost 80% of the distribution industry is now covered. A due diligence process has been started on them. And once that process was completed, I'm happy to note that now more and more people are showing their trust towards that industry and also towards the market. Once they have been assured that there is somebody to regulate them and provide a minimum level of comfort to the investing community, we are finding more and more people taking interest. We have also allowed for higher level of disclosure so that the individual who is there or who is going to invest is not affected adversely. But one problem which we still have in the country is that pension money is not coming into the market in a big way. Some of our largest pension funds, which deal with the pensions of the workers of the organized industry, do not have comfort in the market, and they refuse to invest in the market. I take it as a challenge for SEBI and to all the intermediaries who are working in the market that we continue to engage them in a dialogue and motivate them to start investing the workers' money into the market. While we have foreign workers investing in our market huge amount of money through the foreign portfolio route, large number of serious pension funds are investing in the market in India. So on the one hand, our task is how to motivate the pension funds within the country. But again, there have been some positive development. We have a new pension system and a new authority to regulate that. And I'm finding that through that method, increasingly higher amount of money is now coming in. And the good part is that we have now got a track record of more than 3 years. So the return by the funds which are investing in the market and the funds which are refusing to invest in the market, that can be now compared, and we have got data for more than 3 years. So increasingly we are going to move in this direction. I'm sure other countries in this region might be facing problems similar to this, not the advanced economies in this region, but some other countries. So maybe there is a scope for us to exchange data and information and our experiences in this matter. I'd also like to talk to you about the stock exchanges regulation in this country. we have been able to come out with a set of regulations today where we have ensured that the conflict between the business motive or the profit motive of the stock exchanges and their primary responsibility as the first line of regulator is not compromised, and that conflict is resolved. We have done it through a method of diverse shareholding, through demutualization and corporatization, also giving more emphasis on the clearing corporations. And we do have method where we have restrictions on the independent directors in the boards of the stock exchanges and the minimum number of directors that you can have. If any one of you is interested in knowing about these details, I'm sure my colleagues from SEBI can give you more details. But the point I would like to highlight is that for the development of the market, the regulation and governance of the stock exchanges was an important issue, and I regard that a milestone has been covered in that. And when I was talking to some of my colleague regulators from other parts of the world, they have shown a lot of interest in what India has done in this regard. I would also like to talk to you about the primary market reforms which have happened here in the last 1 year. We have, for example, introduced a concept of the responsibility of the merchant bankers through enhanced disclosure. If an issue is being made by a merchant banker in our country now, he will have to give the track record of all the issues which he has done in the last 1 year and what has been the performance. We have also allowed, for example, that the opening day of an issue, on the opening day it will be, while we do not want to have any restriction on pricing, and we want free pricing, but we have introduced this through the method of call auction in the pre-open session. Through this mechanism of call auction in the pre-open session, which is for about 1 hour before the market opens, we have discovered that after we have introduced this, the effort to manipulate the price has gone down and the volatility has also come down. And now people are feeling more comfortable about the IPOs which are being brought into the market. It has also put a pressure on both the merchant bankers and the corporates about being reasonable in their pricing, because we don't want to decide the pricing. Some of these measures, again, we have experimented and we feel that we have done it in a manner that many other countries are also trying to understand about it. And you can, if any one of you is interested, we can provide more information on this. One serious issue, and that issue is with regard to the trust in the market, is with regard to the impact of technology on the market. You are all aware that you can't wish away technology, and technology serves a very important purpose. In fact, in our own country, only when technology-enabled trading started, then the market grew. And we have experience of now 2 decades in this regard. But high-frequency trading, algorithmic trading, co-location are some of the developments where more caution is required. And I'm aware that regulators all over the world are just struggling how to deal with this situation. We do not want to stop it or ban it, but we want to regulate it in a manner that we do not have any fiasco. I'm sure you are aware that, like what has happened in the USA, for example, or some incidents in Japan, for example, we in India also had incidents where the market crashed in a very, very unpredictable manner for a particular period of time. So in March this year, SEBI has come out with a set of regulations about regulation of high-frequency trading and algorithmic trading. And what we have provided here is that there should be a minimum level of price check, quantity check, order value check. We have also provided for some financial disincentive for high order to trade ratio. Some of these measures, and I saw, I think yesterday or day before yesterday, I saw that Australia has also introduced similar measures recently. And I'm sure, going by my dialogue with fellow regulators, that many other countries are contemplating action in this regard. I would like to highlight here, and I'm very, very fond of quoting this, that when the crisis or the incident of 2010 happened in the United Kingdom, and the FSA chairman was asked to submit a report, he came out with an idea that one test which should be applied is that is the activity serving a social purpose? So when we are talking of the market, we must always at the back of our mind keep this question that is our activity serving a social purpose? Are we able to mobilize the money for the growth of the economy? Are we able to provide for the market system whereby the domestic savings can grow and workers can have reasonable returns for their post-working life, for their retired life? So if this test is applied, then mindless desire to speed up things. I keep discussing with my people whether it should be 20 milliseconds or 2 milliseconds or 100 microseconds. There has to be some stoppage somewhere. And there are issues involved here. One issue is of course about equity. Are others getting crowded out? But more important is it helping in better price discovery or is it distorting the price discovery? We have created, in SEBI, we have created an international advisory board, and we had a meeting last about 3 weeks ago. And we had also invited the stock exchanges in that meeting. And we found that globally, all the regulators are extremely worried about the impact which unregulated speeding up or even co-location can lead us to. And all of them are thinking on various measures to regulate the high-frequency trading and algorithmic trading. Our experience since March has been that after we have introduced our system, there has been some reasonable check, but in market you can never stand on your laurels and think that everything is under control. So we continue to be worried about it. I would also like to tell you that India is not fully convertible on the capital account. And while on the equity side, there are measures through which foreign institutional investors or portfolio investors can invest in the country. On the debt side, there are ceilings which are quantitative ceilings. Quantitative restrictions are there. We have a method of auctioning those ceilings, those allocations, and in a very transparent manner that auction is taking place. But one important point I would like to make here is that the investors from this part of the world are the biggest lot who are investing outside their countries. If you look at foreign investment from a particular country or from a particular region, the biggest amount is coming from this region. But I'm also disappointed that most of this money is going outside this region. Now, on the one hand, we have a situation where we are proud to be the growth engine for the world. We are having a 200 basis point differential on the growth compared to rest of the world. Our markets are doing reasonably well compared to rest of the world. However, when it comes to intra-regional investment, we are shying away. And most of the investment is going outside the region. So while we are sitting on the capital, we are investing that capital, our markets are doing reasonably well compared to rest of the world, we are not investing within ourselves. So I take it that a forum like this is an ideal forum to understand each other's problems, each other's cultures, each other's regulations. And if there is any understanding which is required, I think if market participants and industry in a forum like this can discuss it, understand each other. For example, many of you would be interested in knowing what is the system in India. And I'm sure our colleagues from India can provide you that information. I'd only like to add one more point here, that in addition to the portfolio route that we have, recently we have also come out with what is called the Qualified Foreign Investor, QFI route. That route has been allowed for individuals. So non-residents, people who are not residents in India, they may not be a big institution or a bank or a pension fund, even they can now invest through this particular route. We feel that we have tried to simplify the system, but if there is anything still missing, we will be very happy to get your feedback after the end of this conference, that what further measures we need to take to further stimulate that demand. I would like to end my conversation with you today by saying, and perhaps repeating my point, that we are representing a region which is the most important region in the world today. And if we can find a method, I'm sure some of you are aware that almost 10 years back, there was a talk of having an Asian bond market, how to develop an Asian bond market. But in the events which happened in the last 10 years, people have forgotten about it. Can we utilize this forum to generate some discussion about how to learn from each other's experiences and continue that dialogue in meetings after meetings? I would like to assure from you that so far as we in SEBI are concerned, we would like to encourage that dialogue. We'd like to be of assistance to you in meeting those needs. And I wish you all the best for the success of this conference. And I'm sure at the end of it, you will be coming out with recommendations which will be useful for us in SEBI and also perhaps for regulators in your countries as well. Wish you all the best. Thank you.